Welcome to the Stepmom Side with Alicia, the podcast for stepmoms ready to create the life they want and one they actually have a say in. Here we talk all things stepmom life and just a little bit more. Leave the superficial conversations at the door and get ready for perspective shifts and actionable advice to help you on your way to creating the life you want, one step at a time. Hey, welcome back to the Stepmom Side podcast. Today we're going to talk about a topic that's about as inevitable as getting tangled in a string of Christmas lights, family gatherings, and all of the unsolicited opinions and conversations that come with them. Yep, it's that time of the year when family members, and I'm talking about the extended, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you since insert last holiday crew, suddenly how they become experts on your life, or they just got those really invasive questions that you struggle avoiding, and you're like, how do I get out of this? Like, I hate these conversations. But anyway, they've got a lot to say about your parenting, your stepmom role, and even your choice of gravy. Like, literally nothing is off limits. So let's talk about how to handle those awkward conversations and not to let anyone ruin your peace before the holiday season gets here. So we're going to talk about how family gatherings are going to be prime time for unsolicited opinions. We're going to talk about prepping for awkward conversations. We're going to talk about redirecting or diffusing comments. We're going to talk about handling questions about the ex, everyone's favorite, right? We're going to talk about handling when the kids bring up their mom, because that always is super awkward, especially if it's in front of a bunch of people. And then we're going to talk about setting a time limit, giving yourself permission to exit gracefully, and lastly, handling the tough stuff while keeping your peace intact. So hang out with me because this is going to be a really great podcast episode. So if you are struggling in your stepmom journey and holidays bring a ton of dread for you, like, I just want to say that I see you and I totally get that. Save this episode, mark it, flag it, whatever it is that you need to do so you can go back and listen to it whenever you need to go back and listen to it. But also, can you send it on to another stepmom that probably needs this advice too? And if you find it something that you are sending on, can you please leave a rating and review? And I would love you forever. So let's get into navigating family gatherings and all of the awkward things that come with it. So first, like I'd mentioned, we're going to talk about prepping for awkward conversations. Like, let's identify first the landmine topics, the things that set you off. So first things first, think about what topics could be potential landmines. Maybe it's questions about your relationship with your stepkids or opinions on co-parenting with, the ex. So then decide in advance how you want to handle them. If Aunt Judy or, cousin Sarah wants to dive into how often do the kids talk about their mom, or what's the schedule like? When are they going back to them? Or do you like her? Does she like you? Last time I heard that, this, that, and the other was going on. What's going on now? If that relative always ventures into that territory, you don't want to be blindsided. And I think this is where stepmoms really get caught in the struggles of the holiday season, because maybe your partner's like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's totally fine. No one cares. We've been not together or divorced for X amount of years. Like, no one cares. But you're like, they do care. And I know that certain people don't want me there, or they would prefer her to be there, and just all of the feelings for you. So let's take a mental inventory and decide which topics you are okay with talking about and which ones are on your nope list. But even better, have a few exit strategies ready. For example, you could smile and say, oh, that's complicated, but we're managing, and then quickly steer the conversation somewhere else, because that relative is going to keep prying. So you could say, oh, hey, insert whoever, didn't you say something about you were redoing your living room, or you went on a vacation? Or, hey, did you hear that insert another relative that's there just went and did this or went on vacation? Completely getting out of that conversation or trying to get out of that conversation. But let's talk about redirecting or diffusing the comments, strategies for shifting the conversation, because maybe this relative is just going to keep pressing. Maybe they completely sidestepped that, hey, did you just redo your living room? Or, hey, they're going on vacation. So now what do we do? they've turned it back to you and your family, and now it's time for a smooth transition and or smooth redirection. And if you're like me, you're probably going to try to diffuse it with humor. But I will say in my early years, to be 100% honest with you, I did not. I was freaked out. I was completely caught off guard. I was completely blindsided. I didn't know what to say or what to do when somebody would bring up the ex or they would ask me these really invasive questions. I don't know what to do. So I would just freeze and it was all over my face. It was all over my body action or like body language. And then also it would shake me, like it would rattle me enough for quite a while for like the next however long we were there. But then like once I felt like I would start to get over it, somebody else would say something else and I'd be like, ah, and it would just re like spike my anxiety all over again and it would perpetuate those feelings of like, oh, see, no one wants me here. They don't want me to be here because they'd rather her be here and like all of the things. So I just want you to know like if you feel these feelings at holiday things, know that you're not alone. Like I have absolutely felt them. And I want to say that's normal, but it sucks. Like, oh yeah, it's normal for you to feel those things because your partner is no longer with the kids as a mom or they're divorced or whatever the case may be. But it still sucks. Like it's a really shitty situation to be in. So I did not do humor at first. Like I rattled myself. But once I got like, okay, I know that these conversations are coming up, or I know that these specific people are going to ask questions, and sometimes intentionally in front of me just to like stick a fork in me kind of thing, or just to like poke me. I was like, you know what? That's that person. That's what they're going to do. What I'm going to do is not engage. So you can try humor. So if someone says, oh, do the kids ever talk about their mom? You could go with, the kids talk about everything. I just wish they would talk a little less about Fortnite or whatever your stepkids are like obsessed with at this current point in time. It is lighthearted and it steers the conversation away from personal landmines, those things that like are jarring to you and like, but like I said, maybe humor doesn't fit it for you. Try a diplomatic shutdown. Again, this is something that I really had to work on. If you've been here for a while, if you've listened to the podcast, you've heard me say that my husband would say, we need to work on you being a little more diplomatic. And I'd be like, why? Everyone knows where they stand. And he's like, yeah, that's not really a good thing because you just go in and say whatever. And I was like, oh, so it took me a while to learn how to be firm and kind because I would just shut shit down. And yeah, that wasn't always the best thing because it would kind of like blow some situations up. So learn from my mistakes. Try a diplomatic shutdown. You can say something like, we keep our focus on what works for us as a family. You can say it with a smile. You can keep it light and breezy. The goal isn't to come off as defensive. It's to show that you're secure in your choices and not interested in sharing that much. So again, if you come off like I came off early on, like, like you could see it all over my face, my body language, all of the things, like I was insecure, or then like I swung the pendulum the other way and just said whatever, then people were like, oh, so she's got some sort of emotions, or she's, all of the things. She's insecure, she's jealous. So it's finding that sweet spot. That's why this podcast episode is coming out now. So you can practice. So you've got time to think about the different landmines, if you will, prior to the family gathering. So you can set yourself up for success. Like, I want to be here to help you navigate this prior to getting there. Like, and if you've been in a coaching call with me, you've heard me say, practice this before the situation comes up. Practice whatever you're going to say, practice however you're going to act, because that situation is going to come up. It's going to come up. What are you going to do about it? So let's move into what are we going to do about handling questions about the ex? The ex. No family gathering would be complete without a question or two about your stepkids' mom, right? It's like they think you're hosting a reality show. If someone's pressing you about your question with the ex, here's a go-to. We focus on what's best for the kids and let the rest fall into place. Or as you maybe get a little more brave or a little more bold in your responses, you could say, really, you're asking me about her? Why? And then just kind of do like a pregnant pause and like let that sit there. But this communicates your priorities. without diving into the juicy drama that they're probably hoping for, especially if they know that things are contentious. People love the drama, and especially if there's alcohol involved and all of a sudden now everyone's a loose cannon and it's like anything goes, anything goes. But here's the thing. If they keep digging, you can say, we like to keep things private to respect everyone's role in the kids' lives. Then you guessed it, redirect. It's your I'm not going there line that shuts down the topic while keeping things respectful. Because honestly, I don't know if you have felt this, but I've definitely felt this. There's like, okay, who's going back to her, the ex, to repeat things that I've said or repeat things that I've done? Again, it comes back to being on stage or feeling like you're on stage, being under a microscope, having to mind your P's and Q's. It's a lot of freaking stress in general to like navigate the holiday situation, but then navigate it as a stepmom and constantly wonder like who feels like the spy or who feels like the mole that's going to go and like rat you out for something that might seem ridiculous. So it's, ugh, I see you, I hear you. Like it is really freaking frustrating. So if you can shut that down, shut that down. So again, just we like to keep things private to respect everyone's role in the kids' lives. And then like a cute little smile. And then, you know what, maybe you can walk away. And you know what? So here's something that I would say. We like to keep things private to respect everyone's role in the kids' lives. And I'm gonna go get insert whatever appetizer. We always bring buffalo chicken dip to Thanksgiving dinner. So I would say that, like, oh, and I'm gonna go grab some more buffalo chicken dip, or I'm gonna go grab some more whatever it is that you want to get. It gets you out of the conversation. Or and I have to go to the bathroom or start coughing and it gets you, I need to grab a drink. Anything you can do to like get out of this conversation. Hopefully, this person can read social cues and see that you don't want to have this conversation anymore. So now let's talk about handling the kids bringing up their mom. And so this is a tough one, right? If the kids bring up their mom in front of you and others, maybe they're sharing stories about her, maybe they're talking about something fun they did last week, maybe they're relaying like a holiday memory that you weren't part of, obviously, because you weren't in the picture. Maybe they're, whatever it is, their mom is like going to be painted in this golden light right now, and it's in front of you and like other people, and you're like, oh my God, what do I do? How do I navigate this? Because it's got you potentially feeling all sorts of feelings. Here's the golden rule. Speaking of golden lights, here's the golden rule. Don't take it personally. If your stepkids are bringing up their mom, please don't take it personally because they're probably just sharing a story or they're relating or going back to the previous thing, somebody's asked about her and now they're like, oh yeah, guess what? My mom did this or my mom did that or, my mom's amazing because blah, blah, blah. And it feels like there's this competition piece. There isn't. But if they're talking about their mom in a group setting, just stay neutral and supportive. Think of it as like listening to them talk about a friend from school. You can say, "Oh, that sounds great," or "I'm glad you have fun," or "Oh, okay." Awesome. Something super, oh, that's a really great memory. Thank you for sharing, even though on the inside, like you're slowly dying. But just remember, your calm response actually models something powerful for them. They see that you're secure enough not to feel threatened or uncomfortable about their mom. And honestly, that's huge. But it also sends a message to everyone else because I can guarantee you, like I was talking about how it feels like you're on stage or you're under a microscope or people are looking over your shoulder, that if you don't respond or react or I guess if you don't react to like things that your stepkids are saying about their mom, it shows other people that you are unbothered, even if you're just barely holding it together and you are like dying to go to the bathroom or like tears are stinging your eyes and you're like, I can't wait to get out of here. Girl, I see you. Like, been there, done that, completely get it, but not in public, right? So just hold it together until you can get to the car. Speaking of getting to the car, let's work on setting a time limit. Give yourself permission to exit gracefully. So now let's say that things are getting overwhelming, right? Like everyone's talking about the ex or co-parenting situations. The kids have shared multiple memories about the ex, and you you have all of these things. I'm like, my heart is spiking just talking about it because I get it. Like I've been in that situation, but everything is overwhelming and you feel like you're reaching the end of your patience and you're like, I am going to like detonate something and like blow this whole thing up, or I need to like get out of here. But here's a secret that you might need to hear. You are allowed to take a break or even leave. Like how I said earlier, like, oh, maybe all of a sudden you have to go to the bathroom or you're going to go like get extra appetizers or another serving or whatever it is. Or you can just say, hey, you know what? I need to step outside and get some fresh air. That's okay. You can do that. One of my coaching clients, this is really hilarious, who does not smoke. She had said, maybe I'm going to take up a pretend smoking habit just to like get out of like certain situations. But here's the thing. If you feel like you're about to lose your mind, lose your own cool, and like it's really disrupting your peace that much, or if you feel like this is all just too much, give yourself permission to gracefully exit. I don't care if you go for a walk or you do the dishes or you go stand outside in the blistering cold. Like it's okay for you to leave. And honestly, if you at some point are like, hey, I actually don't want to go to this gathering. I don't want to go to this event because of whatever. That's okay too. I have been there as well. I have skipped family holiday things because it's too much. It's okay for you to say that. Now, if your partner decides to go to said gathering and you don't go, I don't want you like rapid fire interrogation questions when they get back. Like all of the things. Like if you choose not to go, I want you to like not go and like not go and like be done with it. So if you choose not to go to like a holiday family gathering and you're in the stepmom side community, come post like, hey guys, I just skipped this. I'm feeling all sorts of ways because I'm going to guarantee you that somebody else is probably thinking the same way and is feeling the same way. If you're not in the community, I highly recommend that you join before the holidays because you'll have an outlet for something like this. Or let's say you're at the gathering and you're really struggling and you escape to the bathroom, so to speak, air quotes, just to post like, oh my gosh, I'm really struggling. This is happening. Please pop in there and tell us like what's going on. Like we can be there for you. But more than anything, have an escape plan ready if things start to feel like a pressure cooker. It could be as simple as, like I said, hey, I'm gonna go step outside for some air. Or I think it's time for me to head home. There is a benefit to you and your partner driving separately. And I just want to remind you, this isn't about running away. It's about protecting your peace and setting boundaries. And another thing that might come up is it might feel like whoever they is in your family, they are winning. They're not winning. What it shows if they're doing this kind of stuff, like it shows where they are and their insecurities and all of the things. But this is about you. Do you like being in this situation? No, so we're leaving. They aren't winning by chasing you away. You're choosing to not put yourself in that situation. It's a little mindset shift that it took me a really long time to like figure out and like get and actually comprehend and understand, but you're going to be okay. So let's talk about the last thing, handling this tough stuff while keeping your peace intact. So at the end of the day, handling tough family gatherings is about staying grounded. If you start feeling like someone's poking at your life, remember this. You do not have to defend yourself or your choices. You're allowed to navigate these moments in whatever ways keep your peace intact, whether it's humor or a quick redirect or a polite exit. The holidays are, like I said earlier, are really challenging. And then add in being a stepmom on top of it. It is so freaking hard, like so freaking hard. And one last tip about this, check in with yourself after the event or after the gathering or after that holiday or whatever, like wherever you went, check in with yourself. Do any conversations that you had there, are they lingering with you? Why are they lingering with you? Is it perpetuating the imposter syndrome? Is it perpetuating the I'm not the real mom? Is it perpetuating the I'm not going to fit in because everyone likes her? Is it like what is happening there? And are there boundaries you want to tweak for next time? Because again, you know that this is going to come up again. But it's really important to just take a few minutes, reflect on what worked and what didn't is a great way to feel empowered for the next round of holiday gatherings because let's be honest, in a blended family, there's a good chance that you have more than one holiday gathering for each specific holiday, right? It's the joys of being in a step family, kind of exhausting. But that wraps up today's episode. I hope these tips help you handle those awkward family gatherings with a bit more confidence and a lot less stress. But remember, it's your life and you get to set boundaries around it too. So if you're not inside the Stepmom Side community, I highly recommend you come and join us because it's about to go sideways over the holidays. Unfortunately, like I'm so sorry to be like the bearer of bad news. But just remember this podcast episode, save it, share it, listen to it as many times as you can, just to keep yourself like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. But also knowing what to say when this is going to happen. You know, like I had said at the very, very beginning, let's prep for those awkward conversations. Like, let's identify what are the landmine topics? What are the things that make you feel really not great? And let's prepare how we're going to respond, how we're going to react, whether it's redirecting or diffusing comments or adding a little bit of humor. And if someone's asking about the ex, please redirect, please diffuse, please use humor, please pivot like, oh, I'm going to get something to eat. I'm going to head outside. I'm going to do whatever the things are. And we talked about handling when the kids bring up their mom and what that looks like and to not take it personally because they do this on a day-to-day basis anyway. A lot of times they're just trying to be part of the conversation or they're just relating and it's hard to not take it personally because it makes you feel so many different things, but don't let it because they're just relating. They're just doing whatever it is that they're doing. I wish I could give you like why they're doing that, but they're just trying to relate. They're trying to be a part of it. You know, they know that these people know their mom. And remember that you can set a time limit. Remember that you don't have to stay. Remember that you don't have to go. There's repercussions for not going, right? There's consequences for not going, but like you also don't have to go. But please set a time limit. Have that conversation with your partner before going, hey, you know what? When we go to so-and-so's house, it is really stressful for me. Can we allot to be there for like 2 hours? Or if they want us to show up at 2, can we show up at 3? Or, you know, because I know that we're not going to eat for however long. I get it. And if there is somebody at these family gatherings that you actually do like, can you go back? I mean, can you go and just like hang out with them or chat with them? Or are there like 3 or 4 people that you can like rotate among and just talk to them and avoid the other people that you don't want to talk to? I see you. Again, save this podcast. But until next time, keep your peace. And remember, no one gets to define your family except for you. Thanks for taking time to listen to this week's episode. If anything was helpful or resonated with you, please share it on social media and tag me. I'm just at Alicia Crasco. And if you could leave a 5-star rating and review while you're at it, that would also be really helpful. And if you find yourself struggling with your stepmom journey and you want a little bit more support without the hefty price tag of coaching, you might want to check out the Stepmom Side community, which is my own private community for stepmoms, where you get to connect with other stepmoms around the world and myself, where I hold weekly office hours and monthly group coaching. It's kind of like you have your own personal coach in your own back pocket. Again, without that hefty price tag. See you next week.